Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I hope that you both can see and hear me well. And for today's webinar, we're going to talk about how to make an advanced CRM into something easy to use and valuable for your organization. So my name is Jörgen Gotthardsson, and I'm from Halmstad, and I'm sitting right now here in Halmstad. It's a gray part of the south of Sweden right now, and my background is within pre-sales, sales, and marketing, and I've been working with that for over 20 years, but also a lot with user experience. And the reason for having this webinar comes out of a feeling that a lot of different customers expressed to me over the years, and the fact that they feel that digitalization is going super fast, and it's hard to keep up with all the features that gets released and all the possibilities that gets created over time, over and over again. But also the feeling that if you don't keep up with it, we will lose advantages in relation to the competitors who are able to make use of new features, digitalization, and the rapid development within tech. So for today, I'm going to try to focus on this. One of my customers said it the best. We want to be advanced, but we also want it to be easy so it gets used. And I think that is what we're going to try to focus on for the rest of this webinar. But before doing so, we have a few new attendees that are new to BE-terna. So I quickly want to share with you what BE-terna is and who we are. To sum it up really quickly, we are one of the leading European providers in cloud-based industry-specific business software solutions. Sounds really super nice and all of that, but to be honest, what we do is we learn about business processes, we learn about our customers' business, and then we try to apply tech so we can help the companies, business to develop. So we're a company with plus 1,200 employees. We are at 27 different locations in 10 different countries. Our focus is to try to be local, but make use of the competence we have within the group and make that available for you when needed. So even if you have a local contact, you still be able to access experts all over the Europe. And of course, a lot of our customers are global players, so we are helping out with projects all over the globe. And we're not in every country, but we are active in a lot of them. We also have a partner network, so where we're not active, we can reach out to partners and basically do joint projects together. So you can always have a local access, local partner to talk to for every country. Over the years, we also developed a lot of different industry-specific solutions, and some of them are here. And of course, it's within those industries, we learned a lot about the business, we learned about the challenges, and we try to apply those into a more boxed concept. A combination of making use of existing experience together with specific customizations that is needed for every company. Now, it's not only tech that's developed, but over time, it's been a change where it's not possible to look at IT only from a functional perspective. You have to look at IT for the entire organization and also for the entire customer journey. So that is reflected in what we provide. Basically, we have gone from focusing a lot on ERP to basically focusing on the entire needs of an organization. So we provide ERP systems, we provide business analytics, we provide, as we're going to talk about today, CRM system, marketing, automation, customer service, field service, but also tools to bring this all together, to automate flows, to make sure that a process works from A to Z. Even HRM systems is within our portfolio, so we can help the HR department to digitalize the contact and relation with employees and make sure that they spend time on what's relevant. But enough said about BE-terna there. Let's get back to the subject. So my idea for approaching this was basically to look on the value created out of advanced tech in different stages of a sales process. So I was thinking if we could do it this way. We start off with a lead, and then we look into the different parts of the sales process. We go basically from just identifying the lead, start interaction with it, make sure that it ends up at the right individual within the company. You add more information, going from lead, qualifying it into an actual contact, and add more info about the company and so on. Perhaps identify colleagues that are really familiar with this type of cases before, and how to make use of the entire competence within the organization. Jump over to the phase where you have a lot of meetings with the customers. So how to improve meetings, how to take care of the information within meetings. Then we have the phase where everything goes quiet, or hopefully not, but every now and then that happens. And I think that it could be an idea to look into how can we handle customers over time, not only within the sales process, but also between the different active parts in an interaction with the customer. So let's look into how we can stay on top of the relationship with the customer here, and how advanced tech, AI and stuff like that can help you do that. Then we can see if we can discuss a little bit about spending time on the right customer. If we have a large customer database, a lot of opportunities, how do we make sure we choose the right one? If we have a lot of customers and hopefully a big sales pipe, we need to predict the outcome out of it. So we need to predict and forecast the sales, and also help plan production, plan delivery, and over time become more and more accurate in our forecasts. So that's one of the areas I hope we can jump into. Then there's the other part of working with a CRM system, and that's basically keeping it live, keeping it updated, and keeping it used. And I think we will discuss this in several parts of this webinar, but I would like to stop a little bit at the end and discuss how can we make sure that we bridge silos, make more people involved in the data that is created in the CRM system, and what that can bring for you. And then at the end, if we can look into AI suggested upsells, like see how AI can basically identify and help you, well, choose the right products, choose the right offer for a customer. But to be a little bit realistic, I'm not sure if we will have time to jump into all of these areas. So I'm going to look at the watch every now and then and going to pick and choose the most relevant ones. If you feel that other areas are super relevant for you, please note that down and reach out to me, and I can make sure that we do a follow-up where we talk a little bit more about the things that you want to focus on. So we'll get back to that at the end of the webinar as well. So, hope you're ready to start off now, guys. Let's start with the first phase there. So we have a lead now. A customer has somehow been identified. And I know that a lot of you have already implemented different channels to identify leads and to also nurture leads before actually a sales interaction is started. So there is more now than ever a risk that we have the same lead coming in from different channels. And not only that, but a lot of companies are working with different offers, but to addressed to the same customer. So there's also a risk that we have two different sales reps interacting with the same customer, but they're not 100% up to date to what they're doing with the customer. And in some cases, the really worst ones, they don't even know that they're interacting with the same customer. So let's dig into duplicate detection and how that's developed just the past years. Now, it's been kind of standard for a lot of years to be able to identify the exact same data. So if someone enters a customer name and another sales rep enters the same customer name, that will be identified by your CRM system, and it will become obvious for your sales rep that now I'm trying to do something that's already entered. However, looking into the data we see in different CRM systems, there is still a challenge for a lot of customers with fuzzy data, like almost the same. But as soon as you look at it as a human, you can see the connections. You can see, like in my case here with my name, it's normally been spelled in different ways, and this is just an example from before, and a lot of CRM systems wouldn't recognize this as the same individual. Hopefully, the email address gets identified really early, or the mobile phone number, and that can help you to identify duplicates. But in some cases not. And here is where IA comes in, or text analysis. So basically, we use the text analysis, we use the AI to be able to predict how likely it is that these two different data sets are the same. And then we promote it to the sales rep and say, I think that this is the same lead. I think that the lead over here is pretty much similar to the lead over here. Do you want to merge that, or have we predicted it wrong? Now, to add another layer, of course, we had data coming in manually, entered manually by a sales rep. We can have data coming in from a landing page where the customer itself has entered the data. We can have data coming in from Outlook. So you use an app to connect the data from Outlook into the CRM system, but also it can be entered out of totally different departments. So say the customer chose the wrong channel in. They interacted with a campaign, but they didn't really. They started talking to the customer support via the chat and start entering information there, but you still want to bring it together. So one of the things that happened over the years that Microsoft put a lot of effort in is bringing those silos that all interact with the customer in some way together to make sure that the data used, not only in this cases to identify customers that are the same, but also data used in different parts of the processes are brought together. So marketing is working on the same data sets as customer service is working on the same data sets as the sales rep, and also bringing a 360 view to the sales rep so they actually can see what's happened on the customer, but not only within their context, but within the context of the marketing team and context of the customer service. So to elaborate a little bit more on that, without going too much into tech, just like to present an overview of the Microsoft platform. And it's a lot of information, a lot of icons and so on, but I'll walk through the quickly the most relevant ones. We're talking about CRM today. CRM is part of what Microsoft calls the customer engagement platform. So it's all of those tools you use to interact with the customer. So it's a CRM system, they call it sales. It's a marketing automation system, marketing. It's a customer service tool called customer service. Customer voice setup, it's basically a feedback platform where you can ask for feedback from your customer and then shoot that information back to the right individuals. So after a campaign, you can get information about how they interpreted the campaign and how interested they were in the offer and so on. From customer service, you can get information if they are satisfied with the help they got, if the problem's been solved. And within sales, you can actually do like a win-loss follow-up, seeing, okay, did we win or lose this deal and why? From a customer perspective, not only the sales rep. And all of this data gets merged down to the same platform. So Microsoft called this the Dataverse, and make sure that a customer in CRM is the same customer in marketing, customer service, when we send a survey, and also when we do analysis, create insights regarding all those behaviors and all the interactions with the customer. So it ensures that we're working on the right data. And as soon as we know that it's wrong data, say that a hard bounce from a marketing send out, well, then it gets obvious and all of these platforms can be updated with the right information. And this is actually foundation for being able to add advanced features to a platform and to the CRM to make use of all the data from the different parts. Another example is that you can take all the data here. Dataverse is of course connected then to Power BI, so you can make your own reports. You can also use out-of-the-box reports from Microsoft. I'll show you a little bit about that later. You can create your own apps, so you can create a custom app for your sales guys or for anyone in the organization to just interact with parts of the data. You can automate flows, so you can, when a certain event happens, you can make sure that the computer helps you make all the administrative parts of that flow, and you let the sales guys try to interact with the customer as much as possible. You can also train a virtual agent, so that virtual agent has access to all of the data and can find information from customer support, from marketing, sales, but also invoices and so on. Another cool part is that Microsoft also has created most of the business applications used in everyday life in companies around the world, and Outlook and Teams and SharePoint are parts of those, but also PowerPoint and so on. So this Dataverse is talking to these applications as well. So you can interact, you can both collect data from Outlook and you can bring that data in and make sure that it is in sales. And the other way around, if you're sitting in Teams and you want to interact with a colleague about a customer, instead of copy pasting stuff, you can just say, hey, look at this opportunity. So we will dig into that a little bit more as well, but this is the foundation for duplicate detection as well, because duplicate detection can be used across the platform. You can find duplicates created in customer service and in sales at the same time. Okay, let's leave that. And I'm looking at the watch and it feels like we need to jump over one part here, leads to the right person, and skip that and look into the part where we make sure that we have data in the CRM system. So if we're going to do anything at all with the CRM system, we need to make the data there correct. We need to make it as easy as possible for sales reps to work and interact with the CRM system. And this has been a challenge back and forth over the years. I'll show you how advanced tech is used to make this easier in this context, and a few examples. So start off with a traditional mail. You get a mail sent to your Outlook from a customer. Now what happens when you have shared data over the platform and you also have advanced tech is that Microsoft, via what they call Viva Sales, they can check in the background. Is there a connection between the email address? Is it a connection between the name or anything mentioned in the email with the information that is already entered in the CRM system, marketing system, or customer service tool? If it is, they will find that information and show that to the sales rep right away. If it's not, well, then it will be displayed as here, create a new contact. You can just push that button and the information identified in the email will be suggested to be entered in the right fields. So in the CRM system, on the other end, you will get the first name in the first name field, last name in the last name field, email field, phone number in the right field. If there are things that the AI hasn't identified, then you can add it yourself. You can do it right in Outlook, so you don't need to jump over into the CRM system. This is just to display that what you enter here in Outlook will be mirrored into the CRM system. So you can on the fly and quickly, without basically typing in the name or the email address, get all of that information in the CRM system right away. So what advanced tech has helped us with here is identifying data, fill in the correct fields, but also identify future interactions with this customer. So the next time you get an email, you don't need to do this again. You have all the information, you have all the background. Now, since we share this between sales reps, between teams, also a colleague of yours will be able to see, okay, we already have this information in the CRM system. This and this is the history of this contact or this opportunity. We can see that, okay, we have 3 opportunities, we have 5 meetings booked, and we have in the past done this and this with this customer, right in Outlook without actually leaving the system. So the same is possible. Now we're talking about Outlook, but the same is possible in Teams. So when you have a team chat, you can open up that chat, you write to a colleague, and then you remember, I need to share something regarding this customer. Then it's possible to add an add mention. I will get to that later on as well, where you say an at sign and then the customer name, and Teams will be able to collect and suggest and search from the CRM and ask you, is it this you mean? And then you can add the connection to the CRM system right into the Teams conversation. Might seem like a small feature, but what happens over time is that if everyone stop copying things between different systems and work on the same data, then if we update the data or anyone in the organization updates that data, the update will be within the entire CRM system across all the different platforms. So at least when I was a sales manager, every now and then, normally at the end of the month, I had to email or call my sales reps and ask them to update the CRM system. This gets totally turned around because the CRM system wants to be updated. Otherwise, it becomes super obvious that we're working on the wrong data. I will quickly share with you something that is available now, but perhaps not all organizations ready for it. In Teams, you can track an actual team meeting. So just as you and I have here now, but if you would interact with me and talk to me as well, Team can record it. That's not a new feature. Team can transcribe it. That's not a new feature. But with AI, Teams can help you to identify what you promised to the customer and suggest you take action on those promises. It can identify what you talk about, different highlights of the meeting. It can identify if it's most likely a negative conversation or a positive conversation, and also who is talking. Might seem a little bit scary, but you get a lot of help from the system here, implemented the right way. I'm not sure if you're going to go and start off with this, but implemented the right way, you can get a lot of help from the system to make sure that you don't miss out on things you say and promise. You can also get feedback saying, you often present this offer, but not this one, or you talk this much and the customer talks this much. Perhaps you should listen more and talk less. So the role as a sales manager, when you do joint meetings with the sales rep and you give them feedback, well, the sales rep can get that on every meeting if they'd like. But let's leave that for a while. I think that might be for the future, but something that's definitely for now is that if we say that it's easy now to enter data into the CRM system, we also want to know if it's actually used. So within the system, you can get reports on the usage of the system, where you can see who creates a lot of data, who reads it, who updates it, and then you can also identify, is our CRM system used or not, and who do we need to address with some more training perhaps, or who is a good ambassador for usage of the CRM system. So instead of nagging on sales rep to do the right things within the CRM system, let the CRM system help that with that for you, and instead show them the possibilities. So that was identifying and entering data. Let's get back to the sales process. Now we want to identify colleagues. We have got the lead, we qualified the lead, we perhaps even talked a bit with the customer via Teams, and we've entered more information into the CRM system. Now we want to make sure that we create an offer that is relevant for the customer and that we can make sure that we win it. And to help with that, within the CRM system, what you see right now is a quick view of Microsoft CRM, where we're looking to an opportunity. Is for the company Alpine Ski House. You get a summary of the deal. You have upcoming events. You have relationship information, who knows who. You can get that from sales, LinkedIn as well. Since LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, it's also possible to integrate that into your CRM. But the cool thing here I want to show you when it comes to more advanced tech is that implementing AI and text analysis, it's possible to predict how likely it is that two different opportunities are very similar. So as you see here, you get within your CRM system, you get teams already implemented into the CRM system, so you don't need to swap over, but also the CRM system can identify colleagues connected to teams and what they're working on in the CRM system and suggest that you reach out and contact them. And all of these things that I've been discussing so far and the coming ones as well are actually more or less out of the box. So you don't need to program a lot of stuff here. Now, so in this case, you see that the system has identified a similar deal closed in the last 30 days. So we can talk to David, perhaps get shared information, even reuse some stuff of the offer he used. Perhaps he learned about the industry or the type of customers that he sold to, so he can share that information with you. Especially if you're new and a newly onboarded sales rep, this helps you a lot because you don't know who's working on what and who's doing what within your organization. It can also identify recent activities made by other colleagues, because now when we bring all the data into different platforms, other colleagues can interact with the data, and that gets saved back to the CRM. But how do you know that someone updated something? Well, you can both get it here, but you can also get it in the timeline. So you can see all the recent activities on that account or that opportunity. So in this case, AI, text analyzing, helps you identify colleagues that might be working on similar cases, have information that's relevant for you, and you can start sharing knowledge within your team. And you don't need to run around and asking people who's doing that, who's doing that. And as you can see, before we leave this slide, you can start interacting right away in the platform. So you don't need to jump over to Teams. You can just start typing, and then you can share the information in the opportunity directly with people that you choose to. So you can set up your team chats, your Teams channels, chat rooms, and so on. I'll show you a little bit more about that as well. So we have come to the part. Let's jump over the gray ones here. I think you've seen the pattern, and jump into the ones here. We have now a lead. We have qualified it. We've been talking to the customer. We create an opportunity. Now it goes quiet, or there are requests from the customer that we need to look into this. We need to discuss within our team if we're going to move forward and stuff like that. I think you all have heard it. And working on a lot of opportunities, working with a lot of accounts, being account manager for a lot of accounts, there's a risk that you miss stuff. I think, unfortunately, a lot of you have noticed that as well. Now, there are several ways to stay on top, and the traditional way, I'd say, used in most CRM system is basically having a timeline, a history line, or something similar to that. That is, of course, available here as well. And it works absolutely well to just use that one, especially when you have a joint platform. So when you send emails, it gets updated in the timeline. If you book meetings, it gets updated in the timeline. If you create opportunities, you create interaction with an account, it gets updated to the timeline as well. It's possible to filter in the timeline. So if you're looking for something in particular, you can find that as well. And you can add stuff manually to the timeline right away. If you have integrations to Teams and you use that as a caller feature as well, then calls can be updated back to the timeline as well without you doing entering into the system. Otherwise, you have to enter, I had a call from my mobile cell phone with this and this person. Now, as you see in this slide, we have an area called Assistant. Now, that assistant is just as you might think it is, someone who helps you to keep track of the things that are not obvious activities that has been done, but can actually help you think and identify what you should do. And this is done in 2 layers. So first of all, you can create rules, simple rules saying there's been no activity on this account for 6 months. So we need to make the key account aware of that. And then you push it to this assistant. Or you have an opportunity that the close date has been passed. You can even say that it should remember you to update the close date a couple of weeks, a couple of days ahead before the close date. Because every now and then you work with a customer case and it gets delayed. So you need to update that in the CRM system. And this one can help you to remember that. You can have the assistant here as on an account, then it's all the activities related to the account. We can, of course, use the assistant in a sales dashboard or something similar to that. And what happens then is that it basically picks all the activities, all the things you should be aware of related to all your accounts, your opportunities. I was talking about different layers, and let's dig into those layers, but a little hint about that is seen here. You can have, instead of just simple rules, you can train a system to make use of more data. So in this case, it tells us that the email, an opportunity is put at risk related to the email in some way. And it because that we sent something to an email and it's been undeliverable. So there might be a change to an email address on this account that we need to take action on. Perhaps that could be an indication that a contact person at the customers have left the company. You can, another cool feature, you can get that from LinkedIn as well. So you can from LinkedIn get an indication that the customers updated their employment, and you might want to look into if this in contact still is relevant for the opportunity you're working on or the customer you're working on. To make this a little bit more structured, we have those different layers. We have predefined intelligence out of the box, such as no activity. We have a past due date. We have similar opportunities that has been won. We have a customer nearby where you booked a meeting that you might want to visit at the same time as you're at the customer. We have emails that hasn't been opened or read. As I noted there, before you activate that, you need to think of GDPR and how you keep track of personal information, but it's definitely possible to track if a individual is reading the emails you sent or not. Then we have another layer of customized intelligence where you can go in and say, for A customers, if there's been no activity on the last 30 days, then I want a notification. But if it's a B customer, then it can be 90 days instead. You can basically create these intelligence based on your set of rules, what you want to accomplish. Now, another cool thing, if you start customizing, you can make use of data from different parts of the platform. You can say a claim's been denied, and every time a claim's been denied on one of my customer accounts, I want the assistant to make me aware of that as a key account. Or claims been created. Or if there's been an interaction with a campaign. And I've written here data versus external, and when we are customizing cross-platform, it's possible to make use of data from external systems. It's a little bit more effort. So if you're a Microsoft customer on the entire platform, you use the marketing system, you use the customer service system. This is quick and simple. If you don't, it's a little bit more time needed, but it's possible. Now, I mentioned that dashboards can help you to stay on track, and you can implement the assistant into dashboards. Dashboards is nothing new. It's nothing super advanced, so I won't talk that much about it. But be aware that it's a really good way of staying on top of what's happening at a customer as well. And Microsoft provides several different out-of-the-box dashboards. This is a deal manager where you can see all your pipeline based on size, based on the different phases, in relation to your budget, the estimated value in the pipeline, all of that, and you can drill down. It's interactive. You can click on a bubble and you get the information about the account. You can drill it down in the list. You can open the account and do whatever from here. You have the traditional dashboards. You can see sales pipe, where you get your leads from, the assistant and all of that. But you also have the possibility, if you're using Power BI, to use out-of-the-box reports. This is more for sales manager, where you can see closing rate, You can see geographical spread on industry. Where do we have our big deals? Can we see that we are more active in different geographical areas and stuff like that? So it's not super high tech in the sense of AI and so on. It's been around for a while, dashboards, but they are still very useful. So it's a lot of information here now, but we are in a phase where we have been working on a case now. We might have several cases running. We want to start predicting the outcome. We want to see if we're going to sell to all these customers we have in the pipe. And by history, that's been done by estimations of the sales rep. They estimate what they think. They also define different phases. In those different phases, you as a sales manager might say, okay, you have to have sent a quote, you have to have sent an offer to the customer to be able to say that you're in this phase. And based on what phase you are in, you can start predicting how likely it is you get a deal and so on. Then you, over time, as a sales manager, you get to learn your sales reps, and you might figure out that, okay, this person over here, he's always overestimating his deals. Might be tricky if you're a new sales manager, might also be tricky when a sales manager is jumping over to another employment and a new one comes in, and you don't know all the sales reps. So predictive forecasting, that's something that's really cool and useful. What we're talking about is basically letting the system learn from historical data, combine that insight with the information already entered into the pipeline, make a prediction, and compare that prediction to the one that you've done in a traditional way. So you can say, okay, this is the forecast we normally have, and this is what the system thinks. And then we want to know, okay, why is there a difference? So just to take an example, here we have a predictive forecast. We have a organization, we have managers, we have sales reps, we have managers, sales reps, and so on different levels. Let's look into this example with Nicholas Frisell. Now, here's the quote and the quote values. Here's the won deals. Here's the system prediction, and here's the traditional prediction. So by the traditional prediction, well, looks good for Nicholas. 101% fulfillment of his budget. However, the prediction thinks something else. The prediction that the system does is that this will end up being 62% fulfilled. Now, let's say that you're a sales manager that really stays on top of these things, and you've had a meeting, and a week ago, when you had that meeting with Nicholas, this wasn't the case. Something has changed. The prediction wasn't as bad as it is now. Then you can look into the prediction by just clicking on it, and you can see, okay, the system thinks that this amount is the closed deals, this amount is from existing data or existing deals already entered in the CRM, and this is what most likely will be created over this period. But as we remembered, that wasn't the case a week ago. So we can go back to the system, look into a snapshot between these different times when you look into the forecast and see what's happened. And then in this case with Nicholas, we can identify that he actually lost the case. One of the fairly large deals had gone from committed in the pipeline to lost. And it might be the case that Nicholas has moved from the lower part of the pipeline to more committed part of the pipeline, other deals, or overestimated them. So to save his budget, he's been reviewing his leads and can see, okay, I think that I will get more of the ones, and being a little bit over optimistic. Then you can have a discussion and say, is this likely or not? Do we need to find new deals? How to handle the situation. So predictive forecasting is really cool. It actually is something that gets better and better over time since it learns from your data. But definitely something that is cool to test and use since you can align that right next to your existing way of working. Okay, that's predictive forecasting. Then we have worked through this sales process. We haven't closed the deal, so it might be still the case that we are collaborating on it. We need more information from colleagues, and I said in the beginning of the meeting that this is something that I would elaborate on. I will do that kind of quickly since we only have 10 minutes left. But a foundation for this is this picture I showed you before, that we are able to make use of the data across the different applications. If we're going to collaborate, it has to be more than just within sales. And one of the most important connections here is Dataverse to Teams and Dataverse to Outlook. So when you are in Teams, you can now connect your CRM system and the data there. So you can do add mentions. As I said before, you can write at, and then you start writing the name of the customer or the name of the opportunity, and Teams searches for that information and ask you, is this what you're looking for? Do you want to share this opportunity with someone else? Yes, as you used to do in a traditional email, and this works in Outlook as well. So it's just the same, where you press that add key and you start in writing someone's name, and you get a list of all possible employees that you can end or everyone you've been in contact with. The same happens, but in relation to the CRM data. So instead of copy pasting over and over again, and then you might end up working with data that is not relevant anymore after a while, and also you might get information that is not tracked back to the CRM in a Teams conversation. You say you send this to a colleague, and a colleague says, "No, Ina, she's not longer the contact we have here. The operations manager is someone else." Instead of saying that, and you have to go back to your CRM system and update it, you can update it right away here in this window, saying, "Okay, that's not a relevant contact anymore," or the email's been updated. So she has married and has a new last name, surname. So collaborating on CRM data, this is something that will help you not only to make it easier to collaborate between colleagues, but actually will make the data with over time get more higher quality, be more updated. So this is the add mention I was talking about. It's possible to use it, of course, in emails. It's possible to relate opportunities, customers, support cases as well. If you're working with the support. I want to show you this really new feature. It's a deal room. It's so new that we actually don't have really good pictures of it right yet, but Microsoft's working really fast. So at the end of March, you can start using this. And the deal rooms is a way to bring all the data for an opportunity together, and then you can collaborate on all the data as an overview. And the cool thing here is that you don't need a license to be able to share this. So you don't need to be a CRM user. You can share this with a product expert or a customer service expert and say, is this the correct data? Is everything right here? Can you please look into this document and so on? I think that this will be even more useful for customer service, where you can do something similar. It's called case swarms, where you get a tricky case, a support case, and you want help from a colleague, you can create this case form and they can interact on the same case. You don't need to go and ask them. You don't need to leave any system. Everything is there. It's not super advanced, but I still want to mention you can share contacts, you can update contacts, you can work with the contacts in the CRM system in several different ways and basically create that as a customer database. So all of the employees in the organization can go to find the right information, the updated information from Dataverse and from the CRM. You can share documents, you can connect your CRM to SharePoint, and then you have two different layers. You can work with the documents from the CRM, but you can also work with the documents from SharePoint. You can connect it back to Teams. So even if you're not a CRM user, you can access certain documents like contracts or in this case also wrote pre-sales calculations if you want feedback from a colleague on the calculations you've done. Yeah, also want to mention from the CRM system, you can create a channel of an opportunity and an account, and then you can start working there. You can start chatting with your colleagues. The information and everything that's written in that chat will get back into the CRM system. So the history you create in Teams link back to the opportunity so you don't lose track of any history. So we've been working through all these different areas and hope that you have got some inspiration and also gone from discussing AI, high tech to actual values and how it's used in the system. This is standard functionalities. You don't need to know it by heart, but you need to know about it and know about these possibilities if you're a sales manager, because this is what's becoming more and more standard. And it helps you save time in so many different scenarios. And I would really like to show you more, but unfortunately we don't have the time for it. I can sum up really quickly that these are some of the aspects that we've been talking about, some of the values created out of using and implementing standard AI, standard text analysis, and all these new features that Microsoft's bringing to their customers. If you feel that it's a challenge to stay on top, to know about all these new features, digitalization is going too fast, then you can always reach out to a Microsoft partner. It's basically our job to make sure that the features that Microsoft is delivering gets used in the right way. So we do on a lot of different customers audits on their CRM systems where we see, okay, you're working this way, then these new features will be beneficial for you. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if you are interested in something similar. The QR code you see there, you can scan it and it's my LinkedIn account. Just add me and you can write to me right away there. It's of course possible to email me or to email BE-terna and it will find its way to me as well. Now, the last 4 minutes, I would really like to ask you guys if there's been something that you've been thinking of that you want to know more of, if you've seen features that you would like to know more of, if you have specific challenges that you would like us to address in future webinars, and we can set that up. I just mentioned a few here that I myself think is really cool. Marketing and sales journeys have been brought together really close. So you can have a customer journey where you start with marketing activities, you go over to a key account activity, go back to marketing activities, you have interactions with the web portal, the customer works there on his own, and then it goes back to a sales rep, and if it goes cold, then it can go over to marketing activity. You can create really cool ways of making sure that you don't lose track of a customer over the customer journey. Another really cool feature is A/B testing. I know that in marketing this is standard, but in sales, I've done that a bit myself, but it's been tricky when I've done it in other systems because you need to put two teams into doing different things and then see the outcomes of their actions. Now that is built into the system. You can actually give them two different scenarios. So you say, okay, this team, you will work in one way with the customer, but the other team over here will work in a separate way, and we can test the outcome out of it. Which way is the best to do this? Then also I want to mention we have a really cool industry solution for insurance and finance. It's used of a lot of larger insurance and finance companies in Europe, but not that known in the Nordics. So that is something that I think is really cool as well. But if you have other topics, please write, and I'll set up new webinars. We can do new sessions and discuss what's interesting for you to know about. So with 1 minute left to go, thank you so much for participating. I hope that it gave you some value, and I will leave this slide open so you can scan the QR code. But this was it basically. So thank you so much. Hope to hear from you in the future, and take care everyone. Bye bye.